Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching Cairo local time. And Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli stressed the government's keenness on following up opinions and problems of citizens in the Egyptian society. During a press conference in New Alamein city, Madbouli said that the Russian-Ukrainian crisis has global repercussions worldwide, which led to unprecedented inflation waves. And to shed more light on Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli's statement earlier in the day, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Youmn Hamaki, Professor of Economics at Ain Shams University. Good afternoon, Dr. Youmn.
Good afternoon.
So, Dr. Youmn, how do you read the statements by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli early in the day, in which he said that the Russian-Ukrainian crisis has global repercussions worldwide and led to unprecedented inflation waves, and of course it has also impacted the Egyptian economy and led to many decisions by the Egyptian government. So what's your take on this?
Actually, we all know to how extent the Egyptian economy has been affected seriously by the Ukrainian-Russian war. Specifically, when we take into consideration that this period was in a very short period after COVID-19, so from this it comes that the Egyptian economy managed successfully to address COVID-19 with a positive rate of growth, but unfortunately the war came to affect seriously the economy since, the war affected foreign indirect investment and the withdrawal of foreign currency in foreign indirect investments affected the availability of foreign currency in Egypt, and from here it comes the devaluation of the Egyptian pound. We all know the repercussions of such a devaluation on inflation. Besides, the inflation resulted from the war that affected the prices of oil and gas, and at the same time food, wheat and all types of natural resources had increased substantially, and we all know that Egypt is heavily importing all these types of materials, which had its impact on inflation rate. So the speech of our Prime Minister concentrated on how to build the resilience of our economy to address such phenomena and not to affect poor people with these phenomena, with such increase of everything. And from here it comes that what the government has done regarding the effects of the war.
Yes, Dr. Youmn, can you please change your place, because it seems there is a strong wind or something that is disrupting the sound. Yes, Dr. Youmn?
Yes, you know that part of the action that has been taken is to address poor people as the most needy people, and I think that our Prime Minister concentrated on Takaful and Karama. You know that Takaful and Karama addressing nowadays more than 4 million families, and is taking not only the monetary subsidized system, but besides that, we are nowadays addressing economic empowerment.
Yes, Dr. Youmn. Yes, can we go for a short break, Dr. Youmn, and get back to you, the viewers, a short break, and we'll be back. Welcome back, dear viewers, and we are still talking to Dr. Youmn Hamaki. Yes, Dr. Youmn, the Prime Minister said that Egypt is moving towards replanning the state's budget to cover the circumstances of the current global crisis. How can this be achieved?
Yes, indeed, since, our budget has been, fixed on a price of oil, and we all know to how extent this price has increased substantially after the war. And from here it comes that we have to adapt our budget with such increase. We all know that challenges confronting our budget, taking into consideration internal debt as well as, increasing the cost of what we need to do as investment besides education, what we have to spend on education, what we have to spend on health services to improve the quality of health services in Egypt. And from here it comes that the budget is going to take into consideration all these challenges. This is what has been strengthened by Prime Minister, as well as how to address, poverty. And that's why our Prime Minister has concentrated on Takaful and Karama as a very ambitious, project to address poverty. And what is quite important regarding Takaful and Karama, addressing more than 4 million families in Egypt, is, taking into consideration the economic empowerment of poor people. Since the next, step for such a very ambitious program is to try to, upgrade the skills of youth and for the families benefiting from Takaful and Karama, and enable them to have an opportunity of job either by working or upgrading the skills to the requirement of the labor market, or by having small or micro project. And from here it comes that this is the economic empowerment of poor people can be regarded as the more efficient way to address poverty, and this is the only way taking into consideration all the successful experiences to combat poverty in the world. And we have to work actually very hard towards, achieving the results of such project, inshallah, successful.
Yes, also Dr. Youmn is talking also about the government's, how the Council of Governors work to stabilize the situation and not to exploit the rise in transport tariffs. So how can we avoid the rise also in prices in the coming period in light of the rise in transport tariffs?
This is a very big challenge, actually, because Egypt has to increase the prices of solar for the first time.
Yes.
And we all know for the first time from long period, 3 years. And
yes.
I believe that this can be regarded as a big challenge. Why? Because we can expect increasing all the prices of fruits and vegetables and everything related to transportation, because they are using solar as a main source for, transport. And I think that this needs a very firm, active, led by, our governors everywhere, since we all know that the increase in the price of solar may affect this transportation cost by only 7%. But actually, most of these, service providers, they are exaggerating in the prices and increasing the prices with more than this percentage. And this is can be regarded actually as a crime. Why? Because you are exaggerating and you are benefiting from a situation that, gaining money in illegal way. And I believe that this should be addressed very firmly according to law, so that to prevent affecting people in the, their purchasing power, because we all know that inflation naturally is reducing the purchasing power of most consumers. and taking needy people, I believe this are going to affect them seriously.
Yes. Finally, Dr. Youmn, before wrapping up this interview, let's talk about the changing in petroleum prices as, according to the Prime Minister, it came to cope with changes of global prices and trade rates and exchange rates and to evade more burdens on the state's budget. Do you expect more increase, or it can stabilize at this rate?
Actually, we can witness
Yes.
internationally that the prices of oil are quite volatile since it is affected by political events. And what we are talking about nowadays is, we are in a dilemma, international dilemma,
Yes.
taking into consideration different interests and taking into consideration what's happening on the top levels of leaders in the world. And from here it comes that you cannot expect
Yes.
any, expectations cannot be quite sustainable when we talk about the relation between the oil prices and political situation.
Yes.
What we can see nowadays is the visit of President Biden in the Middle East and the meeting that is going to take place in Saudi Arabia to discuss all this matter. I believe that this will have its impact on the prices, since we can see to how extent OPEC Plus can increase, the production of oil from one perspective. From another, what can be done regarding the Russian-Ukraine war in the future. All these aspects can affect seriously or to large extent the prices of oil. So what we can do nowadays is to build our resilience as economy by more production and more methods to reduce the cost of production and increase productivity. I believe this is the only way to build our resilience.
Yes, finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Youmn Hamaki, Professor of Economics in Shams University. As Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli stressed earlier in the day, the government's keenness on following up opinions and problems of citizens in the Egyptian society. During a press conference in New Alamein city, Madbouli said that the Russian-Ukrainian crisis has global repercussions worldwide, which led to unprecedented inflation waves. He also said that Egypt is moving towards replanning the state's budget to cover the circumstances of the current global crisis. Madbouli added that Egypt imports 100 million barrels of petroleum annually. He also pointed that changing petroleum prices came to cope with changes of global prices and exchange rates and to evade more burdens on the state's budget. He also reiterated following up with the Council of Governors how to stabilize the situation and not to exploit the rise in transport fees. And by that, viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of Cairo Local Time. Thank you for watching.